Hi, I'm Gemma, and in this video I'm going to be challenging you to design a microflat. With an increasing population, some cities are finding it difficult for everyone to find space to live. Microflats, or sometimes called micro-apartments, are a small solution to that, giving people the space to eat, sleep, wash and cook. Microflats can be really exciting places to live. Think of the innovation that's involved in putting all of that living space into such a tiny area. How can you eat? And how can you sleep? And how can you relax? And how can you wash yourself? How can you fulfill those basic needs in such a small space? We're looking to you to create those innovative ideas for your microflat. You might have a wall that moves. You might have a table that turns into a chair. You might have a living space which also converts into a cooking space or a washing space. Let's take a look now at the space you've got to work with. Your microflat must have a floor space of no larger than 32 metres squared. By giving you the floor space, we've given you some flexibility when it comes to the layout of your flat. So for example, if you were to use a rectangle, you would need an 8 metre by 4 metre rectangle. And if you multiply 4 by 8, you get 32. 4 metres times 8 metres is 32 metres squared. And that gives you the size of your microflat. You don't have to stick with a rectangle. You could do something a little bit different if that helps your design work. So in this example, we've got a 5 metre by 4 metre rectangle, which gives us a 20 metres squared area. And we've added onto that a 4 metre by 3 metre rectangle, which gives us another 12 metres squared. If we add that together, 12 metres squared plus 20 metres squared gives us our 32 metres squared floor space to work with. To be able to create your design, you need to think about who's going to be living there. In your microflat, we would like you to design for a student. So this is somebody who's going to be learning throughout the day, potentially doing work in the evening. They'll need to wash, they'll need to cook, they'll need to relax, they'll need to sleep, and they'll also need to go to the toilet. So make sure you consider all of these needs. They're also going to need to enjoy where they live. So think about use of colour, think about how they can put their own stamp on where they are. Think about clever uses of furniture. Maybe you'll need a wall to move, maybe the floor or the ceiling could move. It's completely up to you. The first thing you need to do is think about how your client, in this case the student, is going to use their space. Write a list of all the furniture that you think they need, and that includes things like sinks and toilets. Split them into two lists. One which is the things they must have, and one which is the things which ideally it would be nice if they could have. This is then your design specification which you'll be working to, and you can use this specification when you create your design to evaluate how well your design meets the needs of your client. And remember, if something isn't on the must-have list, you can still include it. You just might need to be a bit creative about how you include it. Take a look at your design specification and try combining things to see if you can create a multifunctional piece of furniture. If you need inspiration, take a look at the internet and you'll find some great examples of furniture that folds away or transfers into a smaller space or becomes something completely different. Once you have an idea of what's going to be in your space, the next thing to do is to experience it. There are different ways of experiencing the space. If you have some open space near you, you could peg out a 32 metre square flat. Alternatively, you could work on a smaller scale model, reducing the size of your flat to something which is more manageable for the home. I've done this scale model on a piece of card. I've used a slightly more complicated model than a simple rectangle, using a 5 metre by 6 metre rectangle at the bottom and a 1 metre by 2 metre rectangle at the top. This creates a 30 metre square rectangle at the bottom and a 2 metre square rectangle at the top, giving me a full area of 32 metres squared. To create this model, I took the measurements and divided them first by 100, and this gave me a tiny card model, and I multiplied up by 2 to give me something that was a bit easier to work with. So my 5 metres on the left-hand side divided by 100 became 5 centimetres, and I doubled it to 10 centimetres to make it a bit easier for me to work with. So 1 metre in the real world, first divided by 100 to give you 1 centimetre, then times it by 2 to give you 2 centimetres. 1 metre equals 2 centimetres on this model. So the great thing about using a card model is that you can also use card models for the furniture. And there's a little bed that I've made. You can use this model to move your bits of furniture around, or get rid of it and try something different. In this example, I've used Lego to represent my microflat. I'd be a very lucky person to have 32 metres squared of Lego. So instead what I've done here is I've taken the 8 metre measurement across the bottom and I've converted that into dots. So I've taken 8 and I've timesed it by 4, which gives me 32 dots along the bottom, the 4, and timesed it by 4 and created a 16 dot width. As long as I do the same to the length as to the width, it stays to scale. And I've even got a little Lego person in there as well who can test it out. So here I've got a door which opens out with a shower to the right, a sink and a toilet. The toilet's that little blue block. And then to the side of the Lego person is a bit of storage and a sofa area. In front of them is their kitchen and then their bedrooms at the end. I've even given them a window. This is another example of a scale model. For this one, I've used some tape on my floor. Now, I haven't got room to draw a 32 square metre microflat inside my house. So what I've done is I've scaled the model down. So in this case, we've turned 8 metres along the bottom into 80 centimetres, dividing it by 10. And we've turned 4 metres for the width into 40 centimetres, dividing it by 10. I've divided both sides by 10, which means the scaling is going to be accurate. So 1 metre in the real world, using this model, is 10 centimetres on my scale model microflat. And as you can see here, I've used some tape to represent a door, and that's the tape that's going across the wall, those two pieces. And what I've tried to do is use the tape to sketch out what the layout might be for my flat, and then I can start to have a look at what items of furniture I'll be able to fit in there. As you walk in, along the side is a kitchen with some storage. I've put a wall in the middle which hides the bedroom away, and then at the far end I've started to sketch out some space for a toilet and a shower. So thank you for watching this video. Good luck on your microflat challenge. We can't wait to see what you come up with. This activity is just one of the many STEM Clubs activities that are out there. Go on the STEM Learning website and take a look at what else you can get involved in.